all put behind her that was once her like, all welcomed that henceforth was his and hers. She adored with Satyavan in the wild woods. Priceless she deemed her joy, so close to death. Apart with love, she lived for love alone. As if self-poised above the march of days, her immobile spirit watched the haste of time, a statue of passion and invincible force, an absolutism of sweet, imperious will, a tranquillity and a violence of the gods, indomitable and immutable. At first to her, beneath the sapphire heavens, the sylvan solitude was a gorgeous dream, an altar of the summer's splendor and fire, a sky-topped flower-hung a sky-topped flower-hung palace of the gods, and all its scenes a smile on rapture's lips, and all its voices bards of happiness. There was a chanting in the casual wind. There was a glory in the least sunbeam. Night was a chrysoprase, right?
Chrysoprase.
Chrysoprase.
And
Night
it's casual. Casual.
casual,
Casual.
casual.
Not
I,
casual. Casual.
okay, casual. I read from that line again then. There was a chanting in the casual wind. There was a glory in the least sunbeam. Night was a chrysoprase.
I think so. I had it as chrysoprase,
Chrysoprase.
but I will check.
Night. No, maybe it is chrysoprase. I don't know this word until you explained to me last time, so maybe I'm also getting it wrong.
I will just check it very quickly.
Yeah.
Um, chrysoprase, yeah.
Okay, chrysoprase. Night was a chrysoprase on a well. Night was a chrysoprase on a velvet cloth, a nestling darkness, or a moonlit deep. Day was a purple pageant and a hymn.
Pageant.
Pageant. A day was a purple pageant and a
No,
hymn.
ah, pageant.
Day was a purple pageant.
Yes, I believe so. Let me check the British.
Day was a purple pageant and a hymn, a wave of laughter of light from morn to eve. So this was where we had stopped.
Yes. Well, Sri Aurobindo continues to tell us about both of them now. So you can begin reading.
Okay. His absence was a dream of memory. His presence was the empire of a god, a fusing of the joys of earth and heaven, a tremulous blaze of nuptial rapture past, a rushing of two spirits to be one, a burning of two bodies in one flame.
So we have this idea of a fusing.
Hmm.
If you fuse two things together, you melt them together.
Yeah.
So this fusing of the joys of earth and heaven
Yeah.
is in them, the two of them.
Okay.
His absence being this dream of memory because he's in the woods while she's helping the mother.
Hmm.
And his presence, of course, was the empire of a god.
Mm.
A tremulous blaze. A tremulous blaze is sort of a quivering or shaking blaze. Almost, yes, I think so.
Yeah. Like trembling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nuptial. Nuptial
Newly
regard.
married?
It's marriage, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It relates to marriage.
Yeah.
And then we have a rushing of two spirits to be one, a burning of two bodies in one flame.
Mm.
Powerful.
Opened were gates of unforgettable bliss. Two lives were locked within an early heaven.
An
And
earthly heaven.
an earthly heaven. Okay. Opened were gates of unforgettable bliss. Two lives were locked within an earthly heaven.
Yeah, you say where locked. I've noticed that a few times. Were,
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 yeah, were,
were,
not where
were
locked,
locked.
were locked.
Were locked. Okay. Opened were gates of unforgettable bliss. Two lives were locked with an earthly heaven and
Within,
within.
no, you got to slow down now. You,
I'll slow down. Yeah, I'm reading too fast. I've made too many mistakes. Were. Am I saying that right?
were is correct,
Were.
yes.
Oh. Two lives were locked within an earthly heaven, and fate and grief fled from that fiery hour.
Fire. Fire.
Fiery. Okay. Fiery.
So it's just like fire with a
Yeah.
Y-E at the end, fiery.
Okay. Fiery. Oh, fee. So it's fee when it's fierce. For fierce, is it, or it's,
Fierce would be with a C-E, yes, fierce.
yeah, fierce. So for fierce, we say fee, and this is fiery.
Fiery. Fire.
Fiery. Okay.
Just
Fire.
like fire here.
Yeah.
But when the CE is on fierce, it changes. It's not
Changes the
fire,
pronunciation. Got
it's
it.
an
Okay.
E.
Okay.
So we have now a very interesting statement because they are so united
Mm.
that these gates of unforgettable bliss have opened. Imagine that. Two lives were locked within an earthly heaven.
Mm.
But the important thing here is, and fate and grief fled from that fiery hour. That bodies burning of two bodies in one flame, that's
Yeah.
that's the fiery hour. And
Yeah.
and fate and grief fled from that. So there's no feeling here yet of Satyavan's impending death.
Mm.
They are just together.
Mm.
And now Sri Aurobindo takes us to a very different area.
But
Very,
soon now failed the summer's ardent breath, and throngs of blue-black clouds crept through the sky, and rain fled sobbing over the dripping leaves, and storm became the forest's titan voice.
yes, we have quite a change here. You see, we could almost say, Sri Aurobindo uses ardent, and
Mm.
ardent is often expressive of intense feeling, glowing with passion.
Mm.
But it can also mean burning,
Mm.
fiery or hot, and the
Mm-hmm.
summer could be that hot. But it here is it's summer's ardent breath, and what happens? The monsoon is coming,
Yeah.
and throngs of Blue-black
Right.
clouds. Blue-black clouds crept through the sky. And throngs, what does throngs mean? It means a great number. So,
Okay.
you know when you have throngs of people
Like
crowded?
a lot.
Hmm?
A lot.
A lot, yes, a great
Okay.
number. And then from those blue-black clouds,
Hmm.
rain fled, sobbing over the dripping leaves. And storm became the forest titan voice.
Hmm.
Now, the word titan here is not with a capital T.
Yeah. We have
So it
seen this
just
somewhere
means
before also. It just means big or like
gigantic
gigantic.
or
Yeah.
immense, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now we're going to move to the next page.
Then, listening to the thunder's fatal crash and the fugitive patterning footsteps of the showers.
Now, here the word is different. He does use patterning, but here it's pattering.
Pattering. Okay.
See, so you have this kind of
Okay.
making
Okay.
pattering sounds. Huh?
Okay. Okay.
So, so he calls it pattering footsteps of the showers.
Oh, like once the rain kind of slows down, or like when they have fall like heavy drops.
Yes, yes.
Got it. Got it.
And
Okay.
fugitive means here in this case.
Taking refuge.
No, it means lasting only a short time.
Okay.
Fleeting.
And the fugitive pattering footsteps of the showers and
And
the long,
the fugitive, fugitive.
the fugitive pattering footsteps of the showers and the long unsatisfied panting and the long unsatisfied panting of the wood of the wind and sorrow muttering in the sound vexed night. The grief of all the world came near to her.
So
Wow.
everything has changed now.
Mm.
So this we can almost say that this monsoon time uh, in the change from summer to the monsoon, all
Mm.
all this has happened.
Yeah.
So we have here the long, unsatisfied panting of the wind.
Mm.
Panting is well, a dog. After
Ah.
it's been running,
Yeah. 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 The
that's
panting. Yeah.
panting. Exactly.
Yeah.
And sorrow. Now sorrow is muttering, not speaking out loud, just muttering something.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the sound vexed night. Now, vexed here means disturbed or troubled.
Okay.
And in that time of the heavy rain, the showers, the wind, the grief of all the world comes close to her.
Mm.
So carry on a little bit. We have time.
Night's darkness seemed her future's ominous face.
Yeah, but very often, Prema, you accent a word that does not need to be accented.
Okay.
You said night's darkness seemed her future's no. Night's darkness seemed her future's ominous face. See,
Okay.
it's almost silent. You
Okay.
feel that darkness of the night that seems to be. He doesn't say it is. He says seemed, because we know in the end she wins out. She brings Satyavan back. But here night's darkness seemed her future's ominous face.
Okay.
Ominous, ominous meaning, foreboding evil.
Okay.
And what happens next?
The shadow of her lover's doom arose, and fear laid hands upon her mortal heart. The moments swift and ruthless raised, alarmed her. Do I connect those? Like the
Yes,
moment?
yes, yes.
Okay.
You picked it up
The,
very good.
the
So
moments
there's a
swift,
semicolon there.
the moments swift and ruthless raised. No. The moments swift and ruthless raised,
No,
alarmed
no,
her thoughts.
I would not agree with that. I think it's the moments swift and ruthless raced.
Okay, it's okay to pause. Okay.
Moments are racing here.
Okay.
Why are they racing? Well, he tells us
Because
the next line.
yeah.
Alarmed. She's alarmed now.
Alarmed her thoughts, her mind remembered Narad's date. A trembling moved accountant of her riches. She she reckoned the insufficient days between. A dire expectancy knocked at her breast. Dreadful to her were the footsteps of the
I
hours.
said where again? Were.
Okay, were. Dreadful to her were the footsteps of the hours. Grief came,
Yeah,
a
but
passion.
there's a colon there. And that's almost a full stop. And the next line is also a colon. So we have to slow down a little bit and see what's happening. Dreadful to her were the footsteps of the hours. Grief.
Dread,
Go ahead.
dreadful to her, dreadful to her were the footsteps of the hours. Grief came, a passionate stranger, to her gate, banished when in his arms, out of her sleep, it rose at morn to look into her face.
Ah, what is looking into her face?
So that grief or this Narad's date that kept coming to her mind kept looking at her face.
It's the grief,
It's
basically.
the grief. Okay.
Because grief is here now, a passionate stranger. It never was there before. Her whole
For
life.
her. Yeah, she didn't experience it.
Yeah, her life was one of beauty in the palace, in meeting of Satyavan, in their time together in the ardent breath of the summer. Only now it has changed. Okay, so now we have to go through this a little bit. We've done Narad, I think.
Uh,
There's only a couple of things. The most important for me, of course, is that Sri Aurobindo says Narada stands for the expression of the divine love and knowledge.
okay.
Letters on yoga.
Okay.
So we have here
Divine knowledge,
divine love and
divine love.
that is where I'm trying to move completely. Big work, but not so difficult anymore.
Yes, we experience it from you.
Now we have the shadow of her lover's doom arose. Okay, so the shadow rises up and and she's aware of the doom that Narad has forecast,
Yeah,
foretold.
and Narad is for divine love and knowledge, and it is from the letters of yoga.
Yeah. So as this doom arises and she sees its shadow, then fear lays its hands upon her mortal heart. And that is a powerful thing. When fear lays its hands on someone's heart,
Mm.
you can see them shake.
Yeah.
And so her thoughts and her mind remembers Nara's state, but she's now become a trembling, moved accountant of her riches.
Mm.
She's already trembling. She's a trembling accountant, one who takes a look at accounts, audits
Yeah.
accounts. So
Understood.
she's in a trembling
She's
mood,
already counting the days.
yeah, of her riches. She's counting her
Yeah.
riches,
Mm.
but she reckoned the insufficient days between.
Mm.
Between what? Between when they're first together and his death.
Mm.
She reckoned the insufficient days between. So we have fear laying hands on her mortal heart, and then
Mm.
we have this dire is something that is dreadful,
Mm.
terrible. Expectancy is knocking at her breast,
Mm.
and she knows why it's knocking at her breast
Mm.
because the hours that go by, their footsteps are dreadful to her, and as a result, grief comes.
Mm.
But grief is still here, a passionate stranger to
Mm.
her gate, because as we just read, that she never had this grief in her life.
Mm.
She didn't know grief at all.
Mm. Mm.
Even when she was in the palace before the king and queen and Narad, she said, if this is all, if 1 year is all, that year is my whole.
Yeah, my whole
There was
life.
no grief. There was no grief there.
Yeah.
So now grief has come, a
Mm.
passionate stranger to her gate.
Mm.
But when she's in his arms, it's banished.
Mm.
There's no grief when
Yeah. Yeah.
she's in his arms. Huh? But when she wakes up
Mm.
in the morning,
Mm.
it looks into her face.
Mm.
Wow. And I think that's enough for today. That's
Yeah.
a long passage.
Yes.
If you can read it again,
Yes.
the beginning.
So
Remember
some of the things I need to remember is
were, yes,
were. Then you also pageant,
pageant, yes,
pageant,
fiery,
fiery. Okay. So I start from what we read today, right? His absence was a dream.
um,
Otherwise, it becomes too long if I start from the break. I mean, I can
that's
also at
no, it's fine.
okay.
Well, no, oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, I would read from the last two lines of, or the last line of page 468.
Oh, that's from last line of yeah. Okay. You mean the then listening to the
Yeah,
thunder's fate?
yes,
Okay.
that would be better.
Okay. And then on the next class, we can read from what we read today. His absence was a dream of memory.
Okay.
Then listening to the thunder's fatal crash and the fugitive pattering footsteps of the showers and the long unsatisfied panting of the wind and sorrow muttering in the sound vexed night, the grief of All the world came near to her. Night's darkness seemed her future's ominous face. The shadow of her lover's doom arose, and fear laid hands upon her mortal heart. The moments swift and ruthless raised, alarmed her thoughts. Her mind remembered Narad's date.
Let's stop there. That's a good
Okay,
place.
okay.
And it's already after 10, so good.
Yeah,
Wonderful. Good session. You read quite well.
yeah,
And
but I'll remember to practice were, because I think this is because of all our Indian pronunciations, were. Yeah.
yes. Wonderful.
So I see you on Monday.
Very good. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Narad. Namaste.
You're welcome.